Hello and welcome back to another episode of Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions podcast. Today we have some very special guests from El Reno Public Schools. Let's go ahead and introduce them. Go ahead, Courtney.
Courtney Meat.
I'm Jennifer Douglas.
I'm Prince Izala.
So you're probably wondering why we're here. Well, within the past month, the El Reno girls basketball team just won their very first title ever in history for El Reno Public Schools girls basketball title. Girls 5A basketball championship. Not only did they win a state title, but they also went 28-0, a perfect record. There's so many layers to this story. So right now we're going to interview the coaches and get their perspective, get their experiences, and then we're also going to interview some of the girls from the team. So most importantly, let's tell everybody about who you are and where you come from. So give us, your title, how long you've been in El Reno, where did you play at, where else have you coached? So just give us your background.
Okay. I'm from Kingfisher, Oklahoma. I played college basketball at Haskell Indian Nations University. From there, I moved back home. And I kind of decided that I wanted to get into basketball and to coaching and teaching. So I did 1 year at Mount St. Mary's Catholic School in the city. I left that, took a different job, and then wanted to get back in it about a couple of years later. And then I found myself out with you guys out at the Cheyenne and Arapaho Tribes Education Department. So from there, I was there for 4.5 years maybe. Working with Clinton Public Schools, and I really enjoyed it. Had a baby, was coming back from my maternity leave whenever I was approached to take on the coaching job. I think you guys had a coach walk out, or it didn't work out for her, so they were desperate, needed somebody. So Rodney asked me if I wanted to come coach 9th grade basketball and be a PE teacher.
So you're an assistant coach? Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't even remember where I was.
That's okay.
So you teach PE.
Yes, you teach
so now
you had a kid.
Yep, had a baby. It was a tough decision. I loved working out at the tribe. But I thought that, which is actually really crazy because, Connor and I talked about getting back into basketball. He was like, I wouldn't mind coaching basketball. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing that either. And then Rodney approached, and it was just kind of like a God thing. Like, that opportunity was presented. And so I just took a jump, and I couldn't be more proud of it. So.
Well, I also want to share that Courtney, she didn't mention, she's a Cheyenne and Arapaho tribal member from Kingfisher. I've known her since she's a little girl. And so when I worked at Respect program, she was one of our kids that came to all of our events. Of course, her father there worked at the time, so she was at every event. She was also on our Cheyenne and Arapaho Respect basketball team. She traveled extensively, and then she went to Haskell Indian Nations University, completed 4 years of college, came back, and not only worked for us, but now she's making an impact in El Reno Public Schools. So I'm very proud of her and very proud to know her and all the good work that she's doing.
Yes, we love Courtney. We are so happy to have her.
Yes.
Yes. So let's talk about Douglas for a little bit. So she is the Class 5A District 1 Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
So round of applause.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
and tell
you.
everybody about who you are. I mean, I'm not even sure how long you've been here. So I remember my niece when she graduated. I'm not even sure what year anymore, but she coached my niece Rochelle. So go ahead and tell us how long you've been here. I mean, where you've coached at, anything you want to share about your background.
Okay. So I grew up in a small town called Lexington, Oklahoma. And then I played softball and basketball there.
Okay.
And I went to school at SWASU. I did not play basketball. I did not play softball. I had the opportunity whenever I graduated from high school to do both. I chose to do neither because I thought that I was going to be a pharmacist. However, that is not what God had in store for me. So I eventually got into elementary education. And when I graduated from SWASU, I actually was an elementary teacher for 3 years. And after those 3 years, I was approached by my high school basketball coach and I was asked if I wanted to coach basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was 25 at the time. So I took a head coaching job, my first job at U.S. Grant High School.
Wow.
And so I was actually the head coach there for 2 years. I taught Algebra 1 there, and I coached basketball for 2 years, and I coached volleyball for 1 year. And so while I was there, actually winning was not something that you expected to do on the court. It was more like, what kind of relationships were you building with the girls? What kind of relationships were you building with your students? Making sure that they graduate on time, making sure that stay out of trouble, they stay in class and things of that nature. And so I actually only won 6 games in 2 years. But eventually I kind of got recruited by Katie Bass. She was under her father at Edmond Santa Fe at the time. And then she applied for the Midwest City head girls job. I think that was in like 2015. And she asked if I would come be her assistant. So I went and I was her head assistant for a year. So we were at Midwest City from 2015 to 2016. We actually won the 6A state championship at Midwest City that year.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes. And so that was my first taste of winning and a championship culture. I learned a lot from Katie and her father, Paul Bass, because he won quite a few championships at Edmond Santa Fe as well. And then after that, Rodney Hayden, our athletic director here at El Reno Public Schools, he reached out to me and asked if I had thought about, looking for another head coaching job. And so I decided that, maybe, El Reno would be a good place. So I applied to come out here.
And what year was that?
It was in 2016.
Okay.
So I got hired in actually it was the beginning of May. Yeah.
Okay.
So about this time I started interviewing here at El Reno Public Schools. And I got hired in May and then took over. And I got the whole entire summer with those girls. And so I just finished my 8th year at El Reno. So out of the 8 years, we've been to the state tournament 7 times. We have 2 runner-up finishes, and 1 in 2019, 1 in 2022, and then this year we got a gold in 2024. And so it's pretty special to be here. I absolutely love the community. I love my girls. I love the parents. I love our school district. And so I feel really blessed.
So you weren't even planning to coach, right? So what made you say, okay, somebody's approaching me about a job? What made you want to get into coaching, even if that wasn't your plan, right? I'm just going to be a teacher, but
right.
What drew you to coaching?
Honestly, it was I kind of thought about being, I don't know, I guess so I had good coaches in high school, but I didn't have somebody that said, go do this, go do that, and kind of not necessarily forced me, but pushed me in that direction. And so at that time when I was 25, I kind of regretted not playing sports in college. Not only did I regret not playing sports in college, I also regretted the fact that, I didn't at least get 2 years for free of college education for free.
Yes.
And so that's what I constantly thought about is, I'm 25 years old. I'm getting my master's. Oh, sorry, I hit the table. I'm getting my master's. And so I have all this student loan debt. And so I said, why would I not go and be a coach and push kids to at least do 2 years and get 2 years for free? Go get an education. Use this tool, this basketball, as a tool to go get something that potentially can help you for years and years and years.
Absolutely.
And so that was what drew me to it, was basically because I wanted to be that person to push kids and make a difference in their life.
Absolutely. Thank you. So we have one more coach.
Man, I should have came in before her.
See, once you get talking, it's just very easy to share.
Sorry.
I was going to stop it. I was like, hey.
Let me go real quick.
Yeah. Mine was going to be short.
So tell us about your background.
Yeah, so I went to Edmond North. I graduated, played basketball over there. After that, I had an opportunity to go to junior college at Murray State my freshman year. Then I went to Carl Albert in Poto for my second year. After that, I finished up at Southwestern in Kansas, Winfield, Kansas. We won the KCAC conference. We went to nationals, lost in the first round. So came back home, did a little bit of jobs here and there, went back to school, got my master's in rehab counseling. Then I was coaching AAU basketball. A friend of mine named DJ Lemons, who was with the Storm at the time, he asked me if I wanted to coach with them. I was like, yeah. So I started coaching with the Storm for about 6 years. Yeah, 5 to 6 years. I
Okay.
was on the boys' side for a couple of years. And we won homeschool nationals twice or 3 times when I was with them. And then I got to the girls' side. I was the head coach for the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jennifer, she asked me like 3 years ago. She was like, "Come coach the freshman team." I was like, I don't know. And she was like, "No, come on." I remember we were at a coaches clinic in August.
Uh-huh.
We were just buying some time. She was like, "Man, come coach the freshman team." I was like, "I don't know." She's like, "Come." So I decided to come. So I've been here for about 3 years, and
Okay.
we're a great opportunity.
So you've coached boys,
And
correct, and
yes.
girls. So what's the difference?
Oh man, people always ask what's the difference.
Is there a difference?
To me, no, it's just all about building a relationship.
Okay.
You got to get the players to trust you.
All right.
Once they buy in, they trust you, I think you could go far.
Mm.
So it's all about building relationships. Then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I also want to share that El Reno Public Schools is one of the school districts that the Cheyenne and Arapaho Tribe's Department of Education serves. So in our service area, we have 13 public school districts. Courtney mentioned Kingfisher, Clinton, El Reno. Those are 3 of the school districts that we serve. So for a number of years, before, maybe during my time, but even before that, there was not always a positive relationship with the tribe in the school districts because a number of reasons, right? Because of education, the system, there was distrust on both sides. But since I've been working at the tribe, I've watched us have stability. We have people that are dependable, reliable, and want good things for our kids. And those are Cheyenne and Arapaho people. But I think this is a perfect example of that. It's not just Cheyenne and Arapaho people anymore that want to take care of our kids, that want to help them. And this is a perfect example. Whenever you buy into, and we'll get to that later, but whenever you buy into, okay, I have all these Native American kids coming. I have this Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes right down the road from me. I mean, not every school district has that relationship with their local tribe. So tell us about maybe like when did you realize that I'm getting a lot of Native American girls coming to be on my team, and how do I work with them? How do I make them feel comfortable? How do I get them to trust me? Because I know at one point Douglas did text me and said, "Hey, there's this girl. She will not look me in the eye. How come she won't look at me?" And I had explained that, well, she's showing you respect because in some homes that Cheyenne Arapaho people are still very traditional people. We have strong cultures still very much present and alive. So she's showing you respect because she will not look you in the eye, and that's okay. So I think that says a lot about Douglas, that she even is asking the question, because we have people in the school system, public school system, that just assume, well, that's a bad kid. They won't look at me. They won't talk to me. They're not being respectful. When in reality, they are being respectful. So tell us about what that journey has been like.
For sure. So before I got the job, I kind of researched whether or not this was something that I wanted to take on. And so I kind of researched El Reno Public Schools. And in my research, I saw that there was K through 8 schools that feed into El Reno Public Schools. And so with that, Darlington is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And Darlington is primarily or predominantly Native American.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of our athletes come from Darlington. And so I knew to be able to be successful here, I was going to have to bridge the gap between El Reno Public Schools or El Reno Girls Basketball and Darlington.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously we want the best, of the best coming to El Reno. And so that was part of my thought process when I got here, is that I wanted to develop a relationship with Darlington. So I did a good job of making sure that I communicated with the principal and the teachers. And then I started going to, I think I told Coach Izala today that I remember going to ORES State and
Mm-hmm.
watching the girls. It was probably like 2 or 3 years in a row that I just
Mm-hmm.
went and watched. And so it was just my thought process that I wanted to develop those relationships with those girls, not only the girls, but their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be able to get those girls to trust us and what we were doing here and my vision that I had for this program, I had to start with them when I first got here.
Right.
And so I remember my first year whenever I got here, I think I had a meeting in our locker room, and your niece Rochelle was one of the seniors. Rochelle, we actually had quite a few seniors, but I think the 3 that stuck out was Rochelle Romanos, Jolie Woods, and Mary Elledge.
Mm-hmm.
All three of them, Cheyenne and Arapaho, all three of them seniors. And so I remember I relied heavily on the three of them because I wanted to bridge that gap between El Reno Public Schools and the Native American culture and the tribes and Darlington all together. And so I asked them a lot of questions, you know, and I never wanted to be offensive. I never wanted to not embrace their culture. And so that was my opportunity to say, hey, I'm new to this. I know some things, but I want to know more.
Right.
And so I just asked them a lot of questions, and kind of like you, like I developed relationships with parents where I could, you know, text you and say, hey, this is happening with this kid. I don't know how to handle this. This is what I would normally do. This is how we would normally do it. What are you seeing? How can I approach this? And so I relied on your sister a lot, and just Jalen Ravelis and Jamie Ravelis. They helped me a lot as well, just because I wanted to know and understand where these kids were coming from, what made them go, what made them tick, and kind of how to push them, because I wanted to make sure that I embraced their culture. And definitely, I feel like that we've done that over the last 8 years.
Absolutely. So when did you realize that, okay, I have, a high number of Native American Cheyenne Arapaho girls here, and when did you realize that they can make a significant impact on my team?
Oh, I think the first year. 110%.
Okay.
So my first year here, I think that first freshman class was Kayla
Yes, I remember that.
Kayla Jones, which is an Elledge. And then I think I had Ariana Long.
Yes.
So those were two Native American freshmen that came in from Darlington. And Ariana Long got significant minutes her freshman year. And then the year after that was Jalen Ravelis.
Yes.
And Bobby Botone, Sierra Sue. And
they're all related.
Yes.
We're all related to each other. Okay,
yes. And so I think that year I started two Native Americans. And then by the time Jalen was a senior, we were starting maybe 4 Native Americans. And so, or maybe 3. And so it was important for me to develop, I felt like it didn't matter who you were, where you came from, what color you wore, what your culture was.
Right.
That if you bought into what we were trying to do as a program, that you were going to play. And I think, which I don't know, because I don't know the people before me, but I think that there was a stigma before me, is that if you were Native American, you weren't going to get any playing time, or you weren't going to get a fair shot.
Exactly, a fair shot.
And that's not what I wanted to do here. I knew that if everybody had the opportunity to be successful, then our program could be successful.
Absolutely.
So whether that was a Native American young lady stepping up, or whether that was an African American lady stepping up, or a Caucasian, it didn't matter. What mattered was that everybody was playing together.
Right.
And that we were playing as one. And I think that it took a few years for us to buy in to playing as one.
Yes.
But I truly believe that we are there, and
Absolutely.
It's exciting to see.
Absolutely. Does anybody else want to share that question?
Coach Doug has got it.
No, she's good.
I'll share from a spectator, because
Right,
I'm an aunt, and also I'm a former athlete. So back in when I was playing high school basketball, I've lived in El Reno all my life. I don't know if you all know this. I've lived here all my life. I've never attended El Reno Public Schools. So I went to Darlington. And at the time, we were athletes as well. We all played basketball. We played anytime we could get. However, like you said, going to El Reno, maybe you wouldn't get the opportunity to play. Everybody just knew that because of my sister's experience, cousin's experience. So then it was like, okay, well, where do we go to school at where you think we'll get a shot? So we would go to Calumet, we would go to Riverside. We would essentially have to leave smaller school districts. El Reno's large, it's a 5A school. However, that kind of was just the norm. So like my sister, whenever she left, and it's like, okay, well, I went to Calumet, my brother went to Riverside. Like it wasn't in our family to attend this school district.
Right.
Even with my mom and her siblings, they all went to boarding school. They didn't come to the El Reno Public Schools. So when my niece Rochelle's the first person in our family really to come to school here. And I remember she played volleyball, she played basketball, and I was like, well, I guess we're El Reno fans now. We've never been, we've never
Right.
been involved. We've seen some kids play here and there, get the opportunity, but it was like, okay, well, I guess let's go to the games then, and let's start buying El Reno stuff, I guess. But now it's, my niece has been here, my nephews, my other niece is out here, Erin. It's like we're fully bought in, right? We're at every
Right.
game. We've got all the sweaters. We got special
Yes,
sweaters.
special one.
I mean, we are invested because I think we see that what you all are doing, right? You're giving these girls the opportunity. Not only that, and I mean, visiting with other community members. I have a cousin where she's a professor at OU. That's Najoni's auntie. Because we were the same, right? We both went to Calumet. We played basketball all of our life. So after probably the last few years, after every game, and you guys were winning, and look, Najoni's doing really well. Look at Paul. I mean, we were just like, can you believe this is happening? Like, this is happening. We're here in El Reno. We're fans. They're winning. They're getting the opportunity. Like, look how good they are. I mean, it was so exciting.
It's beautiful.
And I think you could see in the stands too that, I mean, everybody was here. Like, I mean, generations of family would come to the game, like aunties, uncles, grandmas,
Yeah.
grandpas. I mean, they didn't even have to have a kid playing, but that was
Right.
their niece or nephew, granddaughter, grandson playing. I mean, it was just the excitement has just been palpable, right? Like you could just
Right.
see it, you could feel it, I hope. But what do you think that means, to you all as coaches to have the community buy-in, the tribes buy-in, these families coming and supporting you all?
You want to say anything?
Yes, say something,
Yeah, what do
Courtney.
you think? Yeah.
I think it's awesome. And just to touch base on what Jennifer said whenever you asked her, the last question, we have a lot of those conversations. Like I grew up with Native parents. I know the stigma. I grew up in a small town, Kingfisher, predominantly white. So that was tough. And so it's nice to be able to share this with Jennifer when we'll talk about the girls, or not bad. We'll talk about the girls, just questions and stuff. And it's just kind of cool. I can give insight, and then she, shares what she's learned, and we just kind of go off of each other on that. But just having the community involved is something super special. I remember my grandparents, my aunties, my uncles always all coming to my game. And then when you have 4 starters who are Native American, brings a bunch of people in, and it's just awesome to see all these girls out here, excited about the big crowd and wanting to show out and play their best for everybody that's out there.
Absolutely.
Do you have anything?
No, man. No, but we really appreciate the community coming and supporting us since day one. Since Coach Doug has been here, she always talked about how she was in the community, showing her face, just trying everybody to know who she was. She was buying in, and it shows right now. She believed, and everybody's starting to believe in her, which is beautiful.
Absolutely.
She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing.
She does. So, and you're a leader, you lead this team, you lead the program. So explain to people that, part of being a leader is having a vision, right? And you have to have this vision of, when did you know that, okay, I'm going to build something special here? And you have to think long term, right? And this doesn't happen overnight. So tell us about that process.
Well, when I first got here, I researched, obviously, again, the athletes and their winning percentages. I don't think that they had made it to the state tournament probably, 10 years before I got here. And whenever I watched film, I asked for film before I did my interviews. And so whenever I watched film, I felt like El Reno had the athletes and the players to be successful. I felt like they just needed the coach to bring that out of them. And so that was my goal in the beginning, was to be that person to bring that out of them and create a successful program of excellence.
Absolutely.
And so at the beginning, that's what I said. I said, this team, this community has the ability to win. And so I said I was going to win a state championship here. It took me a little bit longer. It did take me 8 years. But when I first got the job, I said we were going to win here. And that's exactly what we've done.
Absolutely. And like you had said, there's been years, right, where you've runner-up twice.
Yes.
And so what do you do? Like, what do you do when you're a coach and you lose on the big stage and you come in second place? Like, what does that feel like, and how does that motivate you to keep going? Because it would be easy to walk away and say, let me go try somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
But what does that process look like as a coach?
I'm the type of person that is very like stubborn or strong in the fact that I'm not going to give up until I succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever I get that close, obviously I'm upset with myself and I question, what can I do? What can I figure out? What can I do more? How can we get over the hump? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do I need to do? What do my girls need to do? And so every year I would just reflect on, what did we do well? What did we not do well? And
Mhm.
how do we win?
Yes.
How do we get over that, that 4-point loss, or, the 20-point loss, or things of that nature? And so, and it all comes down to those relationships with those players and building those relationships and making sure that, they stay on track in the summertime, staying on track during off season, and saying like, hey, like, we have a goal.
Mhm.
Like, this is what we're working to. We're not just in here just to work. Like, and at the back of our mind, we're going to win,
Mhm.
but we have to be diligent and we have to practice these details, these little things that nobody wants to do,
Right.
because that is what is going to make the difference. And so that's
Absolutely.
just something that we constantly talked about. Like, every year we're going to focus on something more. Every year, this next year, we did this, and this last year. This year, we're going to go up another notch.
Yes.
Okay. Not only did we do A, B, and C, but now we're going to do D.
Yes.
And so every year, our objective is to be better.
Absolutely. Do any of the assistant coaches want to share?
We have a new one.
Yes, we have a new assistant coach. So go ahead and introduce yourself
Yes,
and tell us how long you've been here.
I'm Kylie Everhart. So my first year under Coach Douglas was 2019, and I took a couple year hiatus, and now I'm just happy to be back.
Where'd you play at?
Oh, I played high school at Carl Albert High School, and then I played at the University of Central Oklahoma.
Did you play in state?
What'd you say?
Did you play in state?
Did you go to the state
I
tournament?
did. I was a 4-time returner. We got short one year up in the finals and just could never get it done. So it feels good to be one, even though I'm not a player.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She just crushed a lot.
But thank you, guys. Do you have anything else that you want to share? Anybody want to answer that last question? So let me ask you all, if you can reflect back on before the season, right? I've seen videos of where you've written out, okay, we've won all 3 tournaments. We're going to state. We won district. But did you guys say, okay, we're going to have a perfect record. We're going to win a state title. We're going to have, all these girls get all of these awards. I mean, was that on the list, or was it just like, oh, this is happening?
They tried to.
They tried to. They
Yeah.
did. They
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
Said, be realistic.
Yeah, they said we're gonna go undefeated. We said no.
They really did. So every year we talk about
Yeah.
goals, right? So we go through, kind of our preseason, and we go through our scrimmages, and then we say, okay, let's go over some goals that are realistic that we can accomplish this year. Obviously, when I first got here, our goal was to make it to the state tournament.
Mhm.
But now we've made it to the state tournament. That's not a goal anymore. That's an
Yes.
expectation for this program.
Absolutely.
And so our goal is to now win state.
Mhm.
And so that's obviously, number one. And
Yes.
usually before this year, before we went to districts, it was host a regional.
Okay.
So this year, not only did host a regional come in the picture, but that means that we were supposed to win district as well.
Mhm.
And then in the past, we've only won 1 tournament, I think.
Okay.
And so I was like, we should. They were like, we're going to win all 3 tournaments. And I was like, I don't know about that, ladies. And they're like, no, Coach Douglas. And I was like, okay. And so they put it on there, like they want to win all 3 tournaments. So I'm like, okay, well, if that's what you say, like, then we better, like,
Yes.
I'm the type of person, if I'm going to set a goal, I'm going to crush the goal.
Yes.
And so they were like, okay. And then I think another goal, I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been Lily, maybe.
It was Lily.
It was Lily.
Yeah.
She was like, let's go undefeated. Like, let's put that as a goal. And I was like, probably not a good idea,
Yeah.
but I like the thought.
Yes.
That's what I said. I was like,
Yeah.
I love the thought process of that's that's what you want to do.
Absolutely.
But once again, like she said, I was like, let's be realistic. Because I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I know these girls are amazing and they're good. But at the end of the day, I don't ever want them to feel like a failure. if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I want them to set goals that are attainable, but that they can actually reach. I don't want them to set the bar so high for themselves that they put themselves down.
Absolutely.
And so that's so whenever we were really winning all these games, we're like, can you believe like we're really winning? Like, oh my God, like we're undefeated. Like this is crazy to me. And so like after we won and we ended up undefeated, I think that's something that we talk about all the time is that they called it. Like the girls literally said it. Like, we're gonna go undefeated this year. Like they had that goal mind made up, whether Coach Douglas said yes or not, the rest, yes or no. They're like, no, we're going undefeated.
Yeah, they definitely spoke it to power. And
Right,
so
they
I
really
think,
did.
Yeah, they believed in themselves from day one, and that was. I came in, I guess, back in January, and
Yeah.
it was just so clear that locker room had something so special.
Mhm.
Not only like the atmosphere with the girls just being so close, but I mean, the coaching staff, I've always been a really big fan of Coach Douglas and how she fosters excellent and culture and community, and something about this team was just different.
Right. And how do you explain what is that? What makes them different? What has made them you special this year?
That's a really good question because I think that they just really treat each other like family. It's that there was no animosity on the team. There's no groups or cliques, which with high school girls can get really tacky, for
Yes.
lack of a better word. But these girls, you'll see different girls grouping up together each time. They're not in one separate group.
Like
Yeah.
they were hanging out with each other outside of basketball.
Mhm.
They
Yes.
would invite each other, different players. Hey, come on, let's go do this. Let's go fishing.
Yeah.
They were just hanging out with each other. So they were bonding with themselves.
Right.
So they were
I think
built.
Jennifer, I think she does a great job of separating like girls who would normally go with each other. She's making them go with
You
different
should
girls.
tell 'em
And so
about,
I
Yeah.
think,
you should tell them about
but
that
I think she
first
helped
year.
in that.
Yes, absolutely.
So to touch base on that, my first year here, I remember, so I'm the type of person that I'll tell you to do something and then I'll sit back and I'll watch you do it to see what you do. And then I'll put my 2 cents in
Yes.
because I kind of want to see what is your personality, what is your thought process, and how is, what do you do? And so my first year here, I just observed stretching lines. And I vividly remember, like, from one lane line all the way over to the sideline, I had probably like 5 or 6 people. And it was my Maple girls and my El Reno girls. And then from this lane line to the 3-point line, I had like 12, 13, 14 girls. And it was mostly my Darlington girls. And so they were separating themselves from
Yes.
each other because they weren't intermingling. And so I said, I have to find a way to get these girls to communicate, to bond, to build relationships with
Yes.
each other.
Yes.
Because if I didn't make them do it, then they weren't going to do it. And so I watched them for a few practices and then I put them in stretching lines. And so then they all had assigned stretching lines and it was different makeups. We had Darlington girls, Maple girls, El Reno girls. And so they were forced to, and they talk while we stretch back and
Yes.
forth. And so they were forced to talk to each other and get to know each other. What do you do at school today? What are you doing today afterwards? Well, who are you talking here or talking there? So on and so forth. And then I start, like, during water breaks, I started watching who are my cliques? Where are my cliques going? Who's hanging out
Right.
together? Things
Yes.
of that nature. So during water breaks, not only do they get a drink of water, but they have to go shoot at a goal. They have to shoot free throws. So it's like a working break. And so I would watch who went where, and they won't separate themselves.
Yes.
And so after a couple weeks, I separate them and then make them figure out how do they build a relationship with somebody that they're not used to hanging with outside
Right.
of basketball.
Right. Yes.
And so that's kind of what we do here a lot. And I still, I don't have to do it as much. I have to separate the cliques of these two are always together,
Yes.
or this one, is always by herself and we need to draw her out, her personality out. And so that is more of it nowadays. But I really do try to observe and make sure that I put girls in positions to build relationships with each other.
Right. And why does that matter, do you think? Anybody can share. These questions are for anybody. Why is building relationships important?
I don't think you're successful without it,
Absolutely.
because you truly don't love each other, care for each other, and want each other to be successful if you don't know the person sitting next to you.
Yes, absolutely. Anybody else?
That's what I tell these girls all the time. At high school, that's one of the things that we did. We did everything together. Morning workouts. We'd all go to breakfast together. We'd go to our classes. Then we'd go to practice, and then, just everything that we did was together. And then outside of basketball, that's all we did. We all hung out together.
Yeah.
And I think that the 4 years that I was at high school, we were very successful. So we won the first conference championship, went to nationals. I just know that without those relationships and us being so close, we wouldn't have been so successful.
Yes.
So I think that's what she's.
Yeah, and you're building trust. You trust one another,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
You feel comfortable with one
Right,
another.
yes.
That makes a
That's
difference.
important.
And then so I think what's unique about this team too is that these girls, and especially our senior girls, they have been, Lily included, Emery, they've been playing together since they were little girls. I mean, I remember them in middle school. I remember them winning a championship for Darlington, when they were in 8th grade. I mean, they have been together. I mean, they are literally family because they're all related one way or another. So how does that help? I mean, how does that help your program? How does that help you all winning, that these girls have played together forever, right? They go play AAU, but then they also play respect. They play together. They have all these opportunities. And how does that help and benefit your program and your success where you're at now?
I think we're blessed in the fact that Perry Romano's coaches most of them whenever they're young at Darlington and at Respect, because he teaches them how to get the ball in and out, push the ball up the floor. Transition is usually pretty simple whenever they get here because they already know how to run. I just have to teach them, a few minor things. Sometimes, we have to fix shots every once in a while. And then Coach P does a lot of skill drills, skill work with our guards and things of that nature. So honestly, whenever we get here, they already have a knowledge of, basics of what we do here.
Right.
And so it's actually pretty exciting for me anyways. I think that it's very I don't know, a luxury. Because when they get here, I don't have to teach them that. It's just fine tuning it,
Right.
know? And so I know a lot of the girls had talked about, especially the seniors had talked about Delilah Sandoval's dad, Eric.
He
was coaching them whenever they were younger, and they remember a lot from those years. I remember them talking about it this year, about just learning so much from him. And so it's cool to know that these men or women that have worked with our kids are in the stands and still watching them to this day.
Absolutely.
And they're proud of them to be able to see them and see their success and share that with
Absolutely.
them.
So the last question I have, and anybody can share, what would you say to basketball programs that have a high, high count of Native American athletes, girls on your teams? And what do you say to these teams of how do you embrace those girls? How do you embrace their families and their culture and make them feel like, okay, I belong, I'm comfortable here? I mean, what would you say to these programs to help? And then in addition to that, how valuable is it to partner with your local tribe? I mean, what has that done for your program and for you? So go ahead, anybody can share.
So Coach Douglas does a really good job of fostering that culture and stuff. She's very mindful of the respect aspect of being foundational value in Native American culture. And I think with non-Native Americans, they don't realize how much respect is a form of it's just a core foundation for Native Americans. So she's very mindful of the things that she does. But they have a cohesive chemistry and they feel like that sense of belonging. A lot of teams with non-Native American coaches don't understand the value and how important that is to the Native American culture. So Coach Douglas does a really fantastic job of creating that sense of belonging. And just, the working with your local tribe is just so important because it not only does it have the community getting more involved, but it really just allows, we had, I guess, the younger girls, were they in the El Reno school system that came to watch?
Yeah, we had some El Reno girls and then some Darlington babies.
Yeah. So it just sets a precedence for the generational, student athletes. Native Americans have proven to be very highly athletic and successful at a high level.
Right.
So they're underrepresented for sure. And I think just really reaching out and connecting with the culture is so important. But the local tribe can offer a lot of extra resources that school
Yes.
and basketball can't. So it's just really important to, make those connections and keep that line of communication open.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Good job. You want to say anything? You don't want to say anything about being Native American and
Being a
feeling
coach?
part of a team?
I guess, yeah. So whenever I came in, which I had only done it 1 year previously, but then I just remember Jennifer introducing me and just, kind of telling the parents that like I could be like a liaison between the girls and culture and stuff. And so like coming in, like I feel like when I was in school, I wish I had somebody who just listened to me and who knew where I came from and what my home life was like and, just how we do things. And I just think that like for these girls or any other girls, like I think it's very, very important that they have somebody that they can, which they talk to Doug. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it's just like, and she knows a lot now too, but it's just also nice to have a different point of view from somebody else because like I grew up like half of these girls are grown up or whatever, but yeah, I think it's just super important to try to, and if you can't find anybody, like just try to, like she said, build a relationship with the tribe because for her to say, Stephanie, your sister helped her out a lot, or even her messaging you, that's kind of hard when you don't have that relationship.
Right.
So I think that's
Absolutely.
just super important.
What was the first question?
What would you say to basketball programs out there that have a high number of Native American athletes, or they have some, maybe they have a few, but
Right.
how do we, get the best out of them? How do we make them feel comfortable and trust us, because I think
Right.
that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. First, I want to say this is that Native American athletes are just as good as anybody else
Absolutely.
if they are given a chance. Secondly, I think that if we truly love them and show them that we love them and show them that we care for them, they are going to flourish. And I think that we have to do a better job as a coaching community as understanding their culture and embracing their culture and truly opening up and listening to these kids because they can help you in multiple ways. And so I think, like I said at the beginning, like I truly believe if you build those relationships with the players and their family members, then they are going to give you everything that they possibly can. And then eventually you'll be successful.
Absolutely.
As far as the tribe, the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribe has done so much for me and for our program and for our girls. Not only do they help our girls making sure that they have shoes or clothes or anything that they possibly need, building those relationships with the governor or any other, like the Respect program. Jessie James does an amazing job. Anytime I've ever reached out to her and asked her for help, she's helped us. I even partnered with them this past summer and helped them run a free basketball camp for anybody in the tribe. We had people coming from Geary and Watonga and Clinton. And so I think that the tribe has a lot of resources for our girls and that our public school doesn't necessarily have.
Yes.
And so I think that that's what is super important for us and our success.
Absolutely. Do you want to share anything?
No, they
You
got it.
look like you want to share something.
They said it all.
Okay. Well, I hate to end this podcast because I feel like there's a lot more we could talk about.
Right,
but
yeah.
maybe if we get some viewership, some comments, we could do another session. But I think there's still so much that we could address. But I do want to say congratulations to you
Thank
all
you.
as coaches.
Thank you.
I mean, winning a state championship, I don't know what that's like, but I can imagine it's pretty awesome.
Pretty great. Yeah.
So
Still
Congratulations.
Still unbelievable.
I know, right? Like we still like look at each other like we really did this. Like
Yeah.
this is so cool.
And I will just say the impact that you all are having on so many of our young kids that come to these games and are wanting to high five. They're doing the drills with the boys and the girls, and they're just so excited that they're just happy to see it. And I think that's what matters, and what's important is that seeing your girls succeed, they can see themselves.
I think that's what's special.
That's what I'm saying. Seeing the young girls
Yes.
coming up to our players, like, hey, you did a good job,
Mhm.
like making posters, trying to get the autographs. I think that's a beautiful
I
thing.
know that they
Like,
were at the state tournament in their jerseys, and so
Yeah.
that was
Yes.
super
It's so-
special. They
Right.
just really
it's
felt a
touching.
part of the community.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was
man,
really special to
You had
see.
some fans crying because they felt like they
Yes.
wanted to.
Yes.
Like,
And we have the best girls for role models. They're the best
They are.
people.
They're
They're
awesome.
just so genuine, and we established that trust, through authenticity. We show up every day, and high school girls, they can smell it a mile away. And so you show up and you love them authentically, and
Right.
they give it back, and it's just generational. And
I
it's
can't
great.
wait for our younger generation.
Yes.
Like I just
Yes.
always keep thinking about everybody else that's gonna keep, we see everybody in the stands that's gonna keep on coming.
Yes.
Like I just
Yeah.
tell them, like, I can't wait. Like it's your turn. Like I
Yes.
hope you're ready whenever
Yes.
you get here.
So that means y'all can't leave, okay? Wait till at least my daughter gets here. She told her Uncle Perry that you can't leave Darlington until you coach me.
Oh, yes.
But I mean, like I said, these kids are watching. My daughter is a big fan. I mean, she just burst into tears once y'all had won. And we were all cheering at her. She just like
Aw,
in tears.
yes.
I mean, she just just invested in what you all are doing. She'll rewatch the game. She knows how to get on El Reno Indians TV. Rewatches the games
I love
Saturday morning. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just rewatching the girls from last night.
oh, that's so tight.
So it's like you said, she's like, I think I want to be like Najoni, and then probably a little bit of Emery.
Such good
Maybe
role
some
models.
Pauline. She goes, but I got to get thick like Pauline. I'm like, okay.
She's got to get stronger, huh? She's got to get buff.
But no, I mean, like, it means so much to our young people, and they're
right.
just excited, I think, to come here to do the same thing. So
I think so,
you
too.
guys are like, an excellent foundation, and I mean, congratulations on all y'all's hard work. I know
Thank
it doesn't
you.
happen overnight.
It
so
doesn't.
Yeah.
kudos
Right.
to you for
Thank you.
staying and
Right?
grinding it out. But I hope everyone has enjoyed this podcast. It's been a pleasure to talk with you all. And thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit here with us. And thank you to Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions podcast. Thank you to Darren and Hawk for the editing and setting all this up. It's very
Yes.
nice. But anyone want to say anything else?
I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you guys having us.
Okay.
I
Thank
just
you
want to say
guys.
thank you. God did.
Thank you. And we're out.